Welcome to another episode of the Credit Pearls podcast. Today we have an amazing guest, Cheryl Lyons from the Cheryl Lyons Training Academy. I'm a huge fan of Cheryl. I follow her on her Instagram and I think she's a great inspiration for women. Absolutely love you. So thanks so much for being here, Cheryl.
Thanks so much for the lovely introduction.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, I want to talk to you because I said this to you. I follow a good few people on social media. A lot of them I knew. Mm-hmm. But I look at your stories and I'm just intrigued all the time. You're so hardworking, but you're so kind. You recently became a mammy. Like, you've so much going on in your life that I think you're a great inspiration for women. Absolutely brilliant. So I was dying to have you on, dying to get you to tell everybody your story. I don't know if you've done much of this or told your whole story to anybody.
I done another podcast like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
Talking Bollocks. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I do know it. Yes, yeah. I do.
So I was on that in the early days. Like, they were literally, we were sitting, it was actually in my salon during one of the lockdowns. And now they're like...
They're flying, actually.
They're flying, like...
They're brilliant, but I listen to it and they're so natural.
So natural, yeah. They're hilarious.
They're super.
So yeah, that was really the first one, and then I just done another one last week, but it hasn't even come out yet.
Oh, okay. Brilliant.
People be sick of listening to me.
No, they won't. I think it's so interesting. So listen, we'll start from the beginning. What we generally do here is you tell us a little bit about yourself, because I think it's important for everybody to know who you are, what you were like growing up, and then how somebody just started their business and how it's grown and scaled and what you're doing next. So tell us a little bit about you growing up, where you grew up, where you went to school and what you were like at school.
So I grew up in an apartment with my ma, my brother and sister. Went to school, kind of just showed up. Like, I wasn't really any like good academically.
Okay.
I was actually brutal, to be honest.
Were you?
But I showed up every day.
Okay.
I'd be always early and I'd stay the whole day. And
did you like school, like for the social side of it with your friends? Was that a big part of it, or just you thought, no, I have to try to do well at school?
I was like, I had to, like, it didn't even come into my mind that I was ever going to leave or anything, you know, but I just knew in there I wasn't interested. So like at any time, like I'd be out the window, daydream and kind of just like looking at the clock, what time is this over at, texting, like just doing everything that I probably shouldn't have been doing. Okay. But I'd always show up. So like that was my main thing. I'd always get like awards for attendance and kind of punctuality and stuff like that. And I feel like that's the best thing that I took from school. Okay. Because
the discipline.
The discipline.
Come every day, be on time. Yeah. Okay.
Never, I don't think my ma ever once had to wake me up for school.
Oh really?
Like I'd always be up. And I'm still like that now. So like I rarely use an alarm. I kind of just always
naturally wake up. If you have something on, you'll just get up. Yeah. And did you think that school like doesn't prepare kids for real life, or didn't prepare you for real life, like the academic side of it? Not at all. No.
Like probably the one subject that you would use is maths. But even at that, like the majority of it was like, I felt, in my opinion, it was just brutal. Like, didn't use any of it. Yeah.
So what happened then? Did you leave? When did you leave? What did you do next?
So I done my leaving cert, and I always remember when I got my leaving cert results, although I knew I wasn't like good academically, I was still like on the day when I got the leaving cert results. You know, when you add up, I don't know if it's still like that now with the point system.
Yes, it is, yeah.
So I was adding up my points and I was like 130 points. So I went into my principal and I remember saying, Mr. Cullen, like, is this right? Like 130 points? Like, I'm shocked at that. And he says to me, I'm not shocked at all. As if to say, like,
we knew.
We knew you weren't going to, like, why are you so shocked? Like, you know. But yes, like, so then I left there and I went to college to do fitness instructor. Okay. I think I was just kind of, I didn't know what I wanted to do, you know, like that. So I was kind of just winging it.
And you thought, okay, what can I do? I like a bit of fitness, I'll try this.
Yeah, I was just thinking of like something practical. So I was like, I'll be in the college, in the gym every day. Didn't happen. Like the first day of the course, I was like, oh, I don't think this is for me. Like, it was learning about the muscles and
the anatomy of the body.
You know, like that. I was like, oh shit. Like, I was brutal in school, so now like,
and you're like, this is worse.
This is worse. Yeah. So and Anyway, I left there and I got a full-time job in McDonald's.
Okay. Did you? I never knew that. Okay.
Yeah, that was my first job.
And what did you take from that job? So when you went in, you knew you weren't good academically at school. You said, right, you tried something else. That didn't work. Then you went into McDonald's. What was that like?
I was just delighted to get away. I was always kind of driven by money, to be honest.
Okay.
So yeah, I was delighted with my full-time wage. It was like $7.50 an hour because I was under 18.
Yeah.
And I was just like, happy out, making me...
And did you think, right, I'm in this, I have money. Was there a point where you said, oh, this is not for me, I don't want to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of said that from the start, but I was grateful
that
I was getting away it, you know, and it definitely learned me how to work under pressure.
Okay.
It was like the McDonald's in Henry Street.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Busy.
like busy,
Yeah.
like people running amok at you because
Yeah.
like their food is not ready and stuff. So it definitely taught me how to work under pressure, which I felt like then that kind of carried through. So like even though school as well wasn't for me, showing up every day on time,
Yeah.
I carried that into my job. And then like working under pressure in McDonald's, I carried like kind of it all
Yeah.
then into me
But
own
also
business.
in McDonald's, you're learning how to deal with people.
Yeah.
And like I worked when I was younger in pubs and clubs. The lessons I learned in that like prepared me for the rest of my life.
Oh,
because
definitely.
you know how to handle people. You have to know how to negotiate. You have to know how to do customer service, calm people down when they're at the desk.
Literally.
You know, and I can imagine what it was like.
Yeah.
So people always underestimate those jobs. They're the best jobs to have when you're young because the life lessons and the skills that you get to move on to your next, to bring with you for whatever you do is amazing. So
Yeah, I
I
have
think
to
that's
agree
brilliant
with that.
for anybody that's listening or watching. And what surprised me, more people watch this podcast on YouTube
Oh, really?
than listen.
To fix myself.
More people watch it. They love the whole interaction. But if you do find yourself in a job like that, it's take the lessons. Take
definitely.
lessons from every job, everything that you're doing, even if it feels like I'm never going to stay here, this is not forever. But the skills that you learn, you can bring along to your next job or your
Exactly.
next thing. And I think that's so important. Don't let it make you feel less than or it's not worth it or there's nothing to learn here. There always is.
So true, yeah. And I'm always grateful for that job because that was the one that kind of I saved up to go to college.
Okay.
And then that took me to where I am today.
And what did you do? You went in then and did beauty.
I done a makeup course
Okay.
over in LA College of Creative Arts. So that was like part-time evenings.
Okay.
So I worked in McDonald's in the daytime and then
You did that in the
did
evening
makeup
time.
in the evening time.
And were you artistic? Like, can you draw and paint?
Do you know what? The art class in school, I probably would have been, but it was just the one class where we all thought we can take the foot off the gas and have a laugh.
Yeah.
You know, the
it's kind of
teacher
a
was
DOS
kind of
class.
laid back and we'd always have like a laugh with him and all of us together kind of just taking the piss. So I never got to actually see, was I artistic in school? So I don't know if I was, but like I'd always have an eye for like, kind of like pairing up colours and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then I went to do makeup and kind of since then everything just escalated.
Because if I watched your tutorial now to show me how to, I can't do it. Even if I think I'm doing exactly what people are doing. So you have to be artistic. There's more of a skill in it than people realise.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's like when people come to learn makeup now in the academy, that's the first thing they're saying. They're like, oh my God, I never realised there were so many steps
Yeah.
to
it's
do a
not
face
just-
of makeup.
yeah,
They just think it's like foundation, eyeshadow, eyebrows, blush, and then
Yeah.
like they're done, but it's actually not. There's so many steps.
Yeah.
I remember my partner, like I was doing up notes before one of the courses started, and I have like everything in detail, like step 1, step 2, this, and there was like 40 something steps, and he was like, are you joking? 40 something steps to do like a face and makeup. He's like, no, you're taking the piss, like.
And you're like, it is.
That's
it's
what
40.
it actually is though, yeah.
So when you started, you went to college, you did your makeup course. What did you do? Did you go and work in a salon?
No, I actually never worked in a salon or a makeup counter.
This is what I love. Yeah.
Yeah, so people who find like that is kind of surprising because a lot of people would push that you have to work on a counter or you have to work in another salon to get experience to kind of go out on your own.
Yeah.
But I didn't, so I just kind of like worked for myself from home.
Okay.
In my ma's sitting room. I had like a little corner, and I'd be doing makeup appointments from there. And then I went in 2018 to do my education and training, so adult education and training.
Okay.
So to kind of become a teacher. And then I went to do my assessing qualification. So once I had my education and training, my assessor's qualification, I then became a VTCT approved centre.
Okay.
So this was a huge step for me, because it just meant that all my students and stuff that was coming to take part in training could actually get government funding.
Okay.
Which is like where I live, and kind of the people that I'm surrounded by, this was like a huge help for them to actually be able to come and take part in the VTCT courses.
Okay, so they were able to, so it might be somebody, say, that was similar to you, left school, wasn't going to go to college, but wanted maybe to do a makeup course.
Exactly.
This was funded now by the government, so it wouldn't cost them so much.
It was like nearly 80% funded by the government. So it was like a huge, and like as well, like without even thinking of like myself, it's like you're able to help so many other people now.
Yeah.
That's just, like if I didn't have that job in McDonald's, there was no way I was going to be able to go to makeup college, because my ma or my parents just didn't have it to give it to me, you know. So I kind of had to get it myself, whereas if that government funding had have been around at the time,
you could have gotten
I could have gotten it, but it wasn't around like the years before, like when I was doing my college.
And when you started the makeup in the house, you have a big following on Instagram. How did you start promoting it? Like, what did you do day one? Was it your friends? Was it your family? Where did it all start?
I used to constantly post photos in college. So when I'd be doing my looks in the evenings over in college, I'd be always posting them. It was on Facebook at the time. And that's why I'm always on my students, like my students now. I'm always on their case. Post your looks, post your work throughout the course, because that's how I got clients.
Okay.
So by the time I was actually finished the course, I didn't even have like my certificate or anything. I was fully booked on the weekends.
Really?
It was like nuts. Just didn't expect it to kind of escalate so much. But I'm the type of person that have like a bit of an addictive personality. So if I'm doing something,
you're all in.
I'm all in. Like, and I just don't stop. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I used to come in from college at 9:30 in the evening. I'd be straight into a bathroom, because I couldn't do it in my bedroom. My brother and sister would have been in bed. I was into the bathroom, taking the makeup off from what was actually being put on me in the course, and I'd be putting it back on myself while it was fresh in my mind, you know, just
to practice. Oh my God.
Standing in the little toilet, like with the little light on.
And then you just start getting clients, built it from there.
Yeah.
And so then you said, okay, now I want to teach other people.
Yeah.
I have two
academies, yeah.
So you've one in Grafton Street.
One in Grafton Street, that's my newest one.
Okay.
And then one in Glasnevin. So the one in Glasnevin is probably my busier one, to be honest. Like,
that was the original one.
Yeah, and it's like a salon / academy. So the salon side of it is absolutely buzzing. Like, it's so
And when
busy.
did you take the step to say, okay, now I was in the living room, in the apartment, weekends, to say, I'm going to get a place?
It was always in my head.
Okay.
So yeah, I was saving to buy a house, I remember. And we were saving. And then I was just about to go to try get my mortgage, and I was only like 22 or 20. Yeah, 22
this is what
I was.
Me, like you're 12.
I don't even know like why I was thinking of mortgages, but I was just sharing a bedroom with my brother and sister, and just couldn't. I love like kind of keeping my stuff neat, and you know, like
you wanted your own space.
Yeah,
now.
I wanted my own space. But I remember a little commercial property came up the road from where I was currently living, and I was like, that would be ideal. So I rang Ross, and I was like, Ross, I think I need to like just scrap the mortgage and throw all the money that I'm at saving into this premises. He was like, what? You mean to tell me what we're at saving up? Like, you just want to... But he's really like, look, do whatever like is best for you. But I was just so glad I didn't do that. I chose not to do that.
Okay.
And see it through for the house.
So you got the house and then you went after a property.
That was the next thing kind of
Okay.
after that. So that was my next goal that I had set.
And did you set goals back then?
Yeah.
So you would you write them down, and
Do
or
you know
what would you do?
There's some goals that I don't write down. They're just that embedded in my head. I don't need to write them down. I'm not going to forget about them. Like, I wake up every morning.
Okay, and even then,
Yeah. Yeah.
you had it in your mind. You were so driven.
Yeah.
What do you think it was that was it something in your upbringing? What was it that made you that way? Because like,
I don't know, because there's nobody in my family. Like, there's not one other person in my family that
had their own business
that work
or,
for themselves. Even like nobody.
and anyone that when you were growing up that you looked up to and thought one day, I'll be like them.
No.
It was just all in you. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
So
it
young.
It is strange, and I do think about that often. Sometimes, like, you know, sometimes it's when I come into an obstacle with my business, I'd be like, how much easier would it be if there was somebody in my family that could kind of
Yeah.
guide me through this?
Yeah, or you could even talk to that could relate to it, that could say, well, Cheryl, it's this. So when I went through that,
Exactly,
but
yeah.
there's nobody.
There's nobody.
Janie. So you started that salon. Was the salon come before you started become, like, have the academy and train
Yeah,
people?
yeah.
So the salon came first.
The salon came first, and then the academy, and then the other. I added more courses on. So like, there's like education and training courses now, and they're aimed at anybody in the beauty industry wanting to do kind of what I done. So do the education and training,
Okay.
and the assessors. So I offer them qualifications now also.
Brilliant. And you can be there for them to ask you questions and guide them through
Yeah,
what it's like.
exactly. Yeah.
Because you had nobody.
No.
I just think the story is so incredible. So you grew your business then, and was there a point in it where you thought, this is going to work? I'm really going to be successful here.
Yeah. Like, it was actually in the early days. I was like, there's no end to the bookings coming in.
Okay.
Like, I was fully booked every weekend, probably for 6 or 7 weeks, and like that was just mental for makeup. Like, you know, like, just to have so many people in on a Friday and Saturday.
You just couldn't believe that you were like, this could actually really scale and grow.
Oh, definitely. And it just kind of gives you that
Confidence.
the confidence to keep going, keep pushing, and keep growing.
Yeah, and you never stop. So then you had that was you'd moved on there. When did you have your son?
2021.
Now this is what I couldn't believe. I remember the first time I met you, I think you'd only had the baby a couple of weeks.
It was, and that was when we went to the networking group
Yeah.
with Joe.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know, there's such a shortage. I'm desperate for that kind of networking business kind of stuff. So although I was only after having the baby, I was like, I don't want to miss this. And I'm so glad I didn't, because I probably would have never actually...
No, you would have met you. I wouldn't have met you. I didn't know who you were before this. No,
So,
and then
like,
when I went on and I saw, like, your work ethic. Like, I remember seeing you, and I've 4 kids, and I remember seeing you posted, you were at the gym breastfeeding the baby. And I was like, she's Wonder Woman, because it was like there was nothing going to stop you. Gymming, like, there was just not an excuse you had. There was no excuse for not going to the gym. I have a baby, so what? Your business never stopped. You just brought the baby with you into work. You were getting the salon ready in Grafton Street. I watched the whole thing unfold before my eyes. The baby was with you. Like, it was just non-stop.
It all came at that Grafton Street. It actually took so long. So I put in for that property when I was 3 months pregnant. So like, nobody even knew I was pregnant.
Okay.
And I only got it over the line 5 days before, and I went the full term 5 days before I had Riker. That's my little boy. So like, nearly 6 months I was kind of like back and forth.
To and fro with
Yeah,
them.
it was just so, I don't know if it's just because it's in the city, and like, kind of the people like on the same street of you is like much bigger.
Okay.
You know, like, I'm a small business and I'm coming in against, like, you have your Zara, H&M, there's like Starbucks, you know, it's all big names.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the completely normal process, but any of the properties that I've gotten before, for salons. Like, it was just more straightforward. It was like, come with your deposit.
Yeah, but this is Grafton Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just such like it's the biggest street in Ireland. It's
I
like
know.
the one to be on. And I was watching this, it was like, how do you stay so driven? Is it just in you? Or do you ever wake up one day and say, I don't want to get up and do all this today? Or does that never happen to you?
No, never.
You just wake up every day with that.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. Like, you only flew back in, for everybody that's watching and listening, she flew back in today from Los Angeles to come on here. So it's just non-stop. And do you feel having the support of your partner, Ross, is it Ross?
Yeah.
Is important?
I genuinely wouldn't be able to do half of what I do.
Yeah.
Without him. Like, he's great. Like, he's hands-on with the baby. And he just helps me, like, so much. And I tell him that all the time, like, because I'd be like, how is he still here?
Yeah.
He should just, like, run for the hills. He'd be better off.
Yeah, but it's important to have that support, because I know not everybody does.
Yeah.
And it would be terrible if he was saying, stop, don't do it, slow down, spend more time with me. Do you have those arguments? Does that come up?
So me and him, we actually opened a fitness centre together as well, like a gym in 2019.
Oh my
So
God.
I kind of just opened it with him because I had the experience.
Okay.
He didn't. He was still working in a supermarket as a manager.
Okay.
So I only opened that really with him, and I was a good bit involved for the first year.
Okay.
But I'm not so much now. And now he's left his job where he was the manager, as like in a supermarket, and he's working there full time.
Okay.
So we're both kind of like...
Okay, so he understands now where you were, what the drive was, what it's like, and the work that it takes to get it up and running.
Yeah.
And like, I actually think, because I talk to a lot of different people, and I listen to podcasts, and I talk to a lot of business owners and people, I actually think you need that level of work in the beginning.
Oh, definitely.
I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
I think in the early days, you have to put in that work.
100%. If you want to work, if you want it to work, and you're a solo person, like if you have a team of people, and like probably somebody that has gotten like started you up, say it's easier if your parents have kind of funded the business, and they can give you money to kind of cover wages and stuff like that. You probably will scale a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier. So I do think be cautious of who you're taking your advice from. So if there's somebody telling you, you don't need to be working all them hours, like you can do it without doing this and doing that, I think just ask yourself, were they in the same position that I'm in?
Yeah.
Or did they have it a little bit easier?
Yeah.
And that's why they're able to tell you to do that.
Yeah, because
like, look, if you had like 100k in a pool there, and you're like, that can cover wages for the next 18 months, I can take people in to help me. But if you don't have that, it's up to you.
And you're doing everything. And for me, I was the same, because it was like, you're doing all the marketing, you're doing all the books, you're doing all of the work. Then you're trying to post on social media, meet people. Oh my God, it was just, the list was never ending.
Yeah.
It was like when people were saying, stop, take it easy, it's like, but who is going to do the work?
Who is going to
There's
do
nobody
this?
else.
Like, literally.
Yeah.
People are like, you need to take a day off. I'm like, okay, I take a day off today, I have 2 days work tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'd rather just kind of pace myself and get it done.
Yeah, I do a lot at the weekends as well, and I know it's just needed, because if I do take a day off, it's like it's double whammy, and then I'm stressed thinking of all the things I didn't get done.
And then plus people are like, oh my God, you never stop working. Like, I get that a lot. Like, you know, you never stop working, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I love my job. Like, you have this point of view because you don't love the job you're in.
Yeah.
So you're saying to me, you never stop working, you should stop working. It's just because your work and my work is different.
And it's a different perspective.
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of blends. Like I see, like I look at you and I see how you blend it all in. Like you'll bring the baby with you away, you'll do the things. You just, you kind of blend your life and work together, which I think is a good way of doing it.
I do do a lot of that. Like, so like, we could be out doing work stuff, but I still have Riker, I still have Ross, and we're going for a coffee in between. Like, you know, we're still, like, it's not like we don't see each other, and I'm not present in Riker's life at all. Like, I am, you know, like, still a lot.
But that's, like, for a lot of women for a long time in Ireland particularly, there was no people like you. There was no working women. Like, women couldn't work. Like, my mum wasn't allowed to work. Like, in the 70s, I think women weren't allowed to work. They had to, when they got married, they had to leave their job.
I don't know whether I'd like a taster of it. But
so there was no role models. But this is why I think it's so important for women to look at you, because you're like, it is possible. I still am a very good mother. I still get to the gym and I still run a business.
Yeah.
But it is possible. And like, now we have role models like you to look at and say, well,
thank God.
Anybody, thank God.
Yeah. I couldn't
so I
think
that's
of anything
important.
worse than not being independent.
Yeah.
Like, I love that me and Ross split the bills, like, and we split the bills, we split the housework, we split kind of everything, because I'm like, we're splitting the bills, we're splitting everything else, you know, like
I'm not doing
I'm not doing it all.
But it's really important, and it's kind of the new way of being. So that's why I think that's super for women to see. So I think everybody should follow you and just look at your journey.
Sharon.
Look at what you do on the day-to-day, because days when I'm feeling wrecked and I'm like, oh, is it ever going to work? I just go onto your stories and I look at it and then I say, no, come on, get up, keep going, because it's possible.
Thank you.
I really mean that, genuinely. I think you're amazing. So tell us, right, so I'm going to be really selfish here and ask questions for me, but I know people want the same. When you start taking on staff and moving it to the next level, what's your decision-making process? How do you decide when to take on people, when not? What am I going to do next?
So when I need, like, when I feel like, right, I can't control everything that I have. I only have like 2, 3 staff members.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of people think that I have this big, huge team. I do have 1 or 2 people that work behind the scenes as well, but they wouldn't be actually in the business.
Okay.
But yeah, like, when I feel like, right, I need
support here,
and it'd be more so the practical stuff.
Okay.
Like the teaching. Like, so I have 2 educators.
Okay.
And they're just amazing.
Right.
And my courses wouldn't be where they are today if it wasn't for them.
Okay, brilliant.
So yeah, that's kind of what I'd be looking out for.
So you'd be careful about when you're taking on people, the type of person, they have to be in line with what you do, is it stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I've never actually took on like a full team of people or anything like that. I think that sort of stuff would scare me. Because you're like, what if we're having a slow week, or you know, like all the 2 salons, like all the sections that I have there, everybody that works there is self-employed.
Okay.
So they just rent a section to work. So they look after their own diary, their clients, all their own problems.
Okay, so you're not responsible for them in that way. Okay.
So that works well.
Yeah. And that's a great model, because then you don't have to worry about if we're having a slow month. They're looking after themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that sort of stress, financial stress, I'm not good with.
Okay.
Like, I wouldn't be good at, say, getting big loans out or anything like that. Like, I'd be panicking.
Yeah, because stress, that's a big, but it's a huge, like, because what we do is we help people look after their credit, but this is what I'm talking about. It's that where people aren't mindful of who they're lending to, where they're borrowing, can they pay it back? It puts businesses under financial pressure.
And then all of a sudden, like,
you
they're
have a
in
huge
trouble.
bill and you're in trouble. Yeah.
See, I'm not good with, like, dealing with, like, stress like that. I can work under pressure. I can deal with customer service stress, like anything like that. But if it came to me not being able to pay my bills, it's game over.
That's a different type of
stress. I'd be just like, I'm out here.
I'm not, but you're probably, but you know that, so you're cautious about what you do.
Yeah, that's why nothing ever happened fast for me. Like, everything. I know when people look from the outside, they're probably like, oh, she has it all together. That was a slow process, and it was like one that was baby steps, you know, each time. It was never like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to open up 2 salons and this and that. I kind of opened up a small salon, moved to a bigger salon, got really busy there, opened up a second salon.
Yeah.
And kind of added on.
And it feels fast when we're looking at you. It looks fast. I think it's fast. Like, as in the years, and you're so young, I think it's fast, but it mightn't feel like that for you.
I think I know that, like, I do like to say, like, no risk, no magic. But I'm not risking a loan from somebody else.
No.
Like, I'm not going to do that.
No.
Like, I'll risk my own savings, or like, something like that I've kind of gathered up myself. I'll risk that, no problem. But I'm not going to risk like 100k loan from a bank.
No, that you feel you can't pay it back, and you're always living under that like a noose around your neck.
Yeah, I'd be just like up the wall thinking
Do you
about
know
something
what?
like
I think
that.
it's a female thing. Like, so we deal with men and women in business. Women are much more cautious with the finances than men.
Oh, 100%. Even like in my house.
Yeah.
Like Ross would be like, I'll get this car on finance. I'm like, oh no.
No, wait.
Like, just go with what you can afford, you know, rather than like putting yourself into
But
debt.
that's a great lesson for people in business. It's like, just wait till you have enough.
Yeah.
Save up, see how it's going. Don't be jumping into the next thing. It might look like you're doing that, but you're not.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
People probably do think that.
Yeah, but you're careful. And you're
I like to
looking
kind of play it safe in that department.
It's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So tell us, if you think back on your business now, what was your best moment, your worst moment?
My best moment was definitely becoming a VTCT approved centre. Kind of opened up so many doors for my business. And the worst one was that time frame where we were just talking about when I was opening up Grafton Street with the baby.
Yeah.
It was like just stress that I didn't need.
Yeah.
You know, and it was at that time I was like, do I even need to be putting this stress on myself?
Yeah. Do you regret it?
I do regret it, like, because it was the kind of, like, you know, you're after having a baby and then you're straight out into that with the baby with you.
Yeah.
So
it was
6
just
weeks,
non-stop.
it was just non-stop.
But it worked out now.
Yeah, it worked out now, and it's not a regret now, but just at that time, I was like, oh God, what am I after doing? Why did I do this?
Yeah.
But yeah, sorted now.
And say, for girls that are watching you now, they want to get into the beauty industry, what's the piece of advice, or one or two pieces of advice that you'd give to them?
Find something that you really love to do and just put all your energy into that. Don't do it just for money, because if you're doing it just for money, like, your clients kind of feel that energy.
Okay.
If you're doing something because you really love to do it, and then let the money flow from that.
Okay.
So yeah, and educate yourself.
Okay, yeah.
Get a qualification, like, if you can.
And you're constantly doing that all the time. You're re-educating, you're learning new skills.
That's what I was in LA for.
Yeah.
The course.
Yeah, that's
and it was
important.
amazing. Like, it was just so good. Like, now, when I was up all through the night over there because we had the baby and like the jet lag.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't think it through. I was like, he was getting up at like 2 a.m. for the whole day, and we were staying up for the whole day with him. But the course was just amazing. Like, it was just so worth the journey.
Oh, brilliant. So you can bring that back to your clients, and you can teach that down here.
I don't teach the semi-permanent makeup just yet. I do that now. So it's like eyebrows that last 1 to 3 years.
Okay.
That's what I was training in over in LA. But I will teach it in the future.
Oh, it's just amazing. Yeah. I think you're super.
Oh, thanks.
I asked a couple of guests this, but I would say, what would say Cheryl that was collecting her leaving cert results that day in school that said, is this all I got? Think of you now.
I should be like blown away, literally.
Yeah.
Because I remember at that time, and there was my best friend, we were at the collecting them together, and she was devastated that she got 400. Devastated. And I got 130. I was like, oh God, what am I have to do? I was like, I'm going nowhere.
But it just kind of goes to show people, that school, we put so much emphasis on it, it's not the be all and end all.
Definitely not.
There is another life
there's
out
so
there.
many. You know what, I think the education system is just broken. It's like probably the same course content now for 100 years.
Yeah.
Like, everything has changed, you know, so I think they should really bring in stuff like for the, not the academic learner, but like the practical learner, you know, like the one that likes to actually learn through doing something.
Yeah.
Rather than reading a book and listening to a teacher about stuff that they're not interested.
Yeah, and it's not really, when you think about how can I apply that to anything?
Exactly.
Most of the time you can't.
You can't, no.
Yeah.
So yes, that would be...
Yeah, you'd look at yourself now. I just think you're brilliant. Any advice for people looking to scale their business? So to grow, take that next step. Do you do any checks in your mind that you think, this is what I do before I take a step? Do you write it down? Do you analyse it, or do you just go with your gut?
I go with my gut a lot.
Okay.
But also financial. Like I was just saying, I wouldn't take the next step if I thought it was outside
what you can afford.
What I can afford. Like, is it going to leave me like with sleepless nights, like worrying about paying back loans and stuff like that? But Yeah, that'd
So
be.
there'd be the things that you say
That'd
to
be the
people.
kind of thing. Yeah, and then a gut feeling.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, don't you?
I've ignored it once and I regretted it, and I was like,
yeah,
that was my gut. Like
Yeah.
the one time I ignored it, I regretted it completely.
yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, really. And listen, I know we could talk for ages about goals and your goal setting. I'd love to have you on again to talk about that.
Definitely.
But what's next for you? What are you looking to do next?
So I'm halfway through. No, I'm a quarter of my way through my life coaching program. So I definitely want to get into like a little bit of life coaching and mentoring and stuff like that.
Yeah,
just
you'd be
because
super.
I feel like it's missing, and I didn't really have anyone to turn to.
Yeah.
I made a lot of mistakes kind of just by chancing my arm, winging
Yeah,
it.
and just not having anybody and not having the
Nobody
knowledge.
there, you know,
Yeah.
and there's some mistakes that was just genuine mistakes because like I thought I was doing it the right way,
Yeah.
and then like it turns out, oh God, you're not.
Yeah.
You're in trouble.
So it'd be brilliant. You'd be a super mentor, I think. I think you'd be absolutely brilliant. But I would love to have you on again to talk about the goal sentence, because we could do a whole podcast on that.
I'd love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd
and
love
just
to
to
come
tell people about how you set your goals, how you stay driven, how you stay focused. So we definitely will do that
Definitely,
again.
yeah.
And if people want to reach you, Cheryl, what's the best place?
Through Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have like a personal business page, and then I just have a complete business page. So there's Cheryl Makeup. I kind of put a little bit of everything on that. And then there's Cheryl Lyons Training Academy.
Okay, so
That's
both
just
of them.
business, yeah.
That's the best place. Okay, brilliant. Thanks so much, Cheryl.
Thanks so much for
a million
having me
for
on.
flying from LA. You're a star. Thanks a million.
Thanks a million.
Super.